This afternoon, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has reacted to legal practitioner Martin Kpebu's account of his detention and subsequent release. The Director of Strategy, Communication and Research at the OSP, Samedako, says that Mr. Kpebu has been acting improperly towards their personnel in the discharge of their lawful duties. Samedako, in a statement on his Facebook wall, said, "This is not the first time or even the second that Martin Kpebu has acted improperly toward OSP security personnel in the discharge of their lawful duties. After each incident, he publicly presents a completely different version of event. Having monitored his conduct for some time, it became clear that unless his interactions were recorded, he will misrepresent the facts."
Breaking news Ghanatube OSP Office of the Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabin ena nuhu aye sheshe nuhu chid odofo ensem we de miankasa ne kra na mede ensem ne bre okra no biemu kra hye Martin Kpebu ena gisia no ya che no aden a yesi oka OSP nasem ubeka ise Ghana fo bebre na babontia beka se Office of the Special Prosecutor nankasa sa office nankasa yen scrapping off because eye infaso bia no eni so odofo bebre na babontin ena Martin Kpebu mawuni so no oye legal practitioner emremu no onimremu ye pan lawyer kese pan wo Ghana ase ena wa babontin se o de petition kese pan be ko John Dramani Mahama ni maka che ne se enimeni ya no onyi eye Kisie Jabin fi office odofo ubeka ya enche bia over even say bia be 1 month nie topic we ena trend e wo Ghana ase se enimeni ya no yeyi Kisie Jabin fi office odofo entidisi anu OSP office no o ma ba be chi Martin Kpebu because you see when to me ankasa yi se oba abonten be ka se o de petition be kwa John Dramani Mahama se yenyi eye Kisie Jabin fi office nti o se yesi wankasa yi nti OSP no eye Kisie Jabin ama ya ba be chi no odofo sansem we na edeja wo Ghana ase obi aka ho asema misu beje ni nyina brew e wo Ghana chirofo momenko na yankoji sansem we nyina nchi memra yisi e Ghana chips.
Mr. Daku further goes on to say that the confrontation at the OSP has nothing to do with the ongoing inquiry into the unsubstantiated allegations Mr. Kpebu made against the SP and the office. According to Samedako, Martin Kpebu continues to claim that he is gathering evidence and will eventually present it to an OSP board, despite knowing there's currently no board in place. Mr. Daku accused Martin Kpebu of refusing to cooperate, demanding that certain officers be removed from a panel as constituted by the office to investigate the claims he's been making. But we know that on the back of that incident, there's been quite the criticism of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Calls have intensified to scrap the office and allow the Attorney General Annie Yoko perform the functions. Let's engage the thoughts of investigative journalist and anti-corruption campaigner Manasseh Aziriawene, who's joining us via Zoom for a conversation this afternoon. Manasseh, I appreciate you joining us. These calls, these demands heightened over the last 24 hours. Do you support them? And what will the scrapping of the office mean for Ghana's overall fight against corruption?
It will mean a defeat for the fight against corruption. It will mean that we have given up. And it will be very bizarre. As we sit now, we have some hopes that should power change hands, some of the cases, or if not all of the cases at the OSP would continue. We cannot say same for the members of the past administration standing trial for corruption, because when this administration came, it discontinued some cases that some of us had issues with. So President Akufo-Addo did some things that I consistently commend him for. Free education, he was honest in how he even started it. And when it comes to the office of the special prosecutor, those in the anti-corruption space, if not all, a majority of them thought it was necessary. And when he started, he put someone like Martin Kpebu in charge. Everybody old enough to know Martin Kpebu's history and record with his own administration would commend President Akufo-Addo for making that move.
Right.
Now, the question is the office living up to its expectation? From where I sit, it is no. Martin Kpebu had his frustrations and left. The current leadership came and has had resources, money, employed people. But from where I sit, there seems to be too many excuses. There seems to be too many pieces of drama being enacted. And there seems to be this attempt to put up a show in the public.
Right.
But when it comes to what matters most, the office has been found wanting. And I am thinking that if we get the leadership right, that office will work. But the question is when and who. And that is the problem. So in as much as I don't think the office should be scrapped, what we are seeing so far, because Samit Darko told us this more in his statement, that there's a certain clear message that connections, influence, and popularity in the media cannot does not make anybody above the law. But it's that same office that told us that a certain man called Ken Ofori-Atta, they watched him live helplessly, and they could not arrest him. Why? Because his cousin was the president. So if you find these inconsistencies coming from an office, then those of us who have trust in that office begin to wonder whether we are really putting our trust in the right place.
You talk about leadership of the institution, making the argument that it doesn't need to go in terms of the office, but the leadership there is what we need to get right. By this, are you joining in the bandwagon to say that, look, based on what it is that we've seen, the present SP may not deliver what Ghanaians want in terms of the anti-corruption fight? Hence, these calls around the office being scrapped should rather be targeted around changing the leadership or a reform in leadership.
There are petitions that have gone out. I don't want to make prejudicial comments. There are things that I know which are not public. If those assessing the body of evidence, Martin Kpebu says he's sending his. If the authorities assess the body of evidence and they believe that it forms enough grounds for the SP to be removed, so be it. But where I sit, and I'm not only saying this because there have been recent revelations I brought out, as far back as 2024, when I wrote my book, The President Ghana Never Got, I concluded by saying that there had been challenges in the office, but I believed those who occupied that office could have done more to give Ghanaians a reason why that office is special. And I've still not seen that. And the excuses, and if you want, the lies coming out from an institution that's supposed to be a citadel of integrity, it is very worrying. I put it out challenging the office that they did not save any $2.7 billion in the SMS scandal, because the entire contract sum was around 500 million. They came out and claimed that mine was inaccurate, and they had their things backed by figures. Documents. Right. As we speak, if you go to the Facebook page of the OSP, the figure there has come back to $514 million in city equivalent. They put it at 5.7 billion. So where has the 2.7 billion or 30 billion cedis gone? This is one. There's evidence that this office did not start the investigation in 2023 as Kisi Ajabin claimed on KSM's show, their own diary of action taken is telling us that as of the end of January 2025, there was a supervisor who wrote in that diary that they should go ahead and prepare an investigation plan. They should get a preliminary investigation procedures. They should identify persons of interest in the investigation.
And these are all things you've discovered as regards the OSP's, the SML investigation.
Exactly. So if you are an office and the leadership of this office is peddling blatant falsehood, then the trust that someone who genuinely trusts in the office would have begins to wane. And that for me is a problem. If they can lie about this, what else may they not lie? Because I hear them saying Martin Kpebu said something in the past that wasn't true, so he cannot be relied on. But these are instances that we have documents to back. They are all documents, not my documents. The emails they sent to me, everything was authored by them. So there are serious issues with the leadership and the institution. But the rationale for setting up the office was great, and I will any day commend President Akufo-Addo for it. And there were times he himself actually referred a petition, the PPA case. He didn't say the Attorney General should do it. He
referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Right, and then the Office of the Prosecutor. If anybody has the chance to speak to them, they should find out where that case is. And it is one disturbing episode after the other. So these are real issues. There are people who would have concerns with the office because they may have tackled a politician they love or whatever. But for those of us who have worked with the office, gone to the office to assist them do their duty, to be having concerns, and these are not just emotional concerns, whatever I have said, I have produced a document to back it up. And nobody has been able to counter or say that this document is not true.
How do we begin to correct this? Yes, you've mentioned that there are petitions there, but for the leadership who are coming under this pressure, the evidence there, like you're putting out, suggests that, look, there's been consistent, to an extent, inaccuracies in their storytelling or the version of things which happen. How do they begin to get it right, if possible, and begin to win back the trust of the entire population and persons like you who are supposed to be collaborators in the fight against corruption, and the rest of Ghanaians, because corruption deals a heavy blow to all of us?
I think a bit of humility and honesty would have saved the OSP from getting here. The things that I brought out, I argued with them behind the scenes for a long time. Kissia Jabe himself on the phone told me that the $2.7 billion that the OSP claimed to have saved came from a PPA document. And I said, look, even if it's in a PPA document and it's not in the contract, you cannot say that they were going to pay 2.7 billion when the contract sum is around 500 million. Take that aside, I have a PPA document that does not state the 2.7 billion you are claiming. So where did you get that from? Till date, nobody has been able to produce that document they claim. 3, Kissia Jabe himself agreed with me on phone that Samet Dakon and then one Albert Akrugu, who led the SML investigation, actually agree with my position that it is the contract sum is $500 million thereabouts and not $2.7 billion. But they go out there and put the wrong figures there. When I was trying to draw their attention to it, they are not. And so they make you the one trying to put the right thing out, look as if you are antagonizing the office, and they go about saying everybody is ganging up against them. But if I am a witness in this case, and you put figures that are false in your case, I cannot go to court and lie to defend you. You may put those figures there in order to look good in the eyes of the public, but when the reality comes, you may lose a case. So, if they were minded to be a bit humble and take some of these things we say behind the scenes, it would never have come to this.
Right. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for speaking to us. And I know this conversation is one that's not going to go away anytime soon, because we're going over right now to the premises of the special prosecutor, where Martin Kpebu is expected to make yet another appearance today over that obstruction charge which was filed against him yesterday, or slapped on him rather yesterday, which led to his detention and subsequent release, pending the meeting of all of his bail conditions. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan is there right now for us. Let's get an understanding as to whether or not Mr. Kpebu has arrived. Crosby, thank you very much for joining us as well. Has Martin Kpebu returned to the office of the special prosecutor? What can you tell us?
Right, Mawina. So about a few minutes ago, close to an hour, well, I should say more than an hour ago, Martin Kpebu arrived here at the office of the special prosecutor, where he was escorted by some of his lawyers. Some also later came to join him as he had entered the offices of the special prosecutor for what can turn out to be an interrogation or investigation or some form of engagement between Martin Kpebu and officials of the office of the special prosecutor. Well, Martin Kpebu is not asking for subordinates to the OSP. He wants people higher up the ladder so that he can talk to them, and this is all concerning his claims that the OSP is not being efficient in the handling of the cases that have been brought to its doorstep. He has been a strong critic of the work of the office of the special prosecutor, particularly the special prosecutor himself, Kisieja Jabing, arguing that they have not been very efficient and forthright in their work. Case in point is the mention of Ken Oforiatta's the handling of the Ken Oforiatta's corruption allegation involving the GRA and the SML scandal, amongst others. So he is asking that the cases that the OSP has investigated be also investigated or be looked through by an independent body. In fact, he's alleging making some allegations against the OSP, some corruption allegations amongst others. So that is all part of the reasons why he was investigated or invited yesterday to come to the premises of the special prosecutor, where his arrest happened and he was detained. And after some hours, he was granted bail with some conditions that people have raised concerns about, that it was on the higher end and should not have happened. When Martin Kpebu came out yesterday, he made some claims that his arrest was unwarranted, and is proof that the special prosecutor himself, Kisieja Jabing, is unfit for the work that has been given to him to handle. So fast forward, Martin Kpebu has arrived here at the offices of the special prosecutor to continue that engagement. Now, we do not know whether or not what happened yesterday will come up at this meeting, or this meeting that is currently ongoing will be follow-ups to previous engagements that they have had that have been inconclusive. That is because Martin Kpebu has insisted that he is not going to engage with people who are subordinates to the OSP because they cannot investigate the OSP. So hopefully that is what this meeting will be about. When Martin Kpebu comes out, we'll be able to have a proper investigation, interaction with him to know what really happened in there when he went in there. You remember that yesterday Martin Kpebu was raising concerns on the sidelines about the presence of military officers who were performing duties of a police officer, but that, since our arrival here at the office of the special prosecutor, we have not cited the military officers yet. I should also tell you that it's been some form of a norm, a constant, that almost all the time, or as frequently as possible, as we can remember, we often see military officers, military personnel around the gates of the offices of the special prosecutor. Today we have not seen that. What we've seen two police officers who have manned the gate, who have been very receptive to us, if you like. We've not seen the military officers yet. Martin Kpebu, we understand, is inside. And the engagement, whether interrogation, investigation, the tete-a-tete is ongoing, Mawena. And we'll get to know what exactly will happen or what exactly happened when Martin Kpebu is allowed to leave today. And we'll get to know exactly what transpired inside.
Quickly, Crosby, on the bit about the changes in terms of the security detail at the frontage of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Yesterday I was making arguments, that's the private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu, about parking space and the likes. Did you see him when he made his way into the premises, and what was it like? What was his mood like as well, having to return barely 12 hours really after he was released?
Well, Mauna, if Martin Kpebu yesterday was saying that he has remained in high spirits because he is very confident about himself that he has not done anything wrong, he has not committed any crime, or he has not been involved in any corruption-related activity that should make him a suspect. In fact, yesterday he was coming to provide more information to the OSP. Matter of fact, coming to help the OSP in its work. Rather than being a suspect or being suspected of committing a crime that would warrant an investigation against him. So he has maintained that he has been in high spirits since all of this back and forth between him and the OSP has started. So when he was arriving today, like always, he was upbeat. He was the usual Martin Kpebu, dressed in the usual Martin Kpebu way. He entered, he drove inside, and then a few of his lawyers also later came to tell the officers, the security officers there, that they are lawyers for Martin Kpebu. They were also allowed inside. There was no indication of he being downhearted, down-spirited, or intimidated, if you like. In fact, yesterday, he was very emphatic to say that what has happened, his arrest and detention yesterday, will put more fuel to the fire.
Right.
That his demand that Kissie Jabeng, the special prosecutor, be removed on the grounds of incompetence, on the grounds of ineffectiveness, will follow through. He says that he is not deterred in any way, that what has happened will push him off track in his quest for the removal for Kissie Jabeng. He's insisting that the 15 claims or allegations or concerns he has against Kissie Jabeng, they are still very much in force. And in fact, what has happened or what happened yesterday will give him more impetus, will encourage people to provide him with more information so that he can put the feet of Kissie Jabeng to the fire. His petition will be forwarded to the president, will be given to the president, and they will be forwarded to the appropriate quarters. And all the procedures necessary for the removal of Kissie Jabeng will be put in place, and Kissie Jabeng will be removed as he wants, because he says that he is incompetent.
Right.
At the moment, he's fine. He's
right.
The usual Martin Kpebu.
Right. Thank you as well, Crosby, for those details. That's my colleague Noble Crosby at the offices of the special prosecutor right now. But how did all of this begin, and what's been the flurry of reactions in the aftermath of Martin Kpebu's arrest, detention, and subsequent release on bail, conditions which he is expected to meet in this present meeting with the officers of the special prosecutor? Well, my colleague Noble Crosby put this report together detailing how we have all come here this afternoon.
Reactions have intended.
Out of four, when they breaking news, just Ghana, out of four. Media to me, the senior near Messi Conedia Mihuni say, there, John Dramani Mahama. You see, I know, sa petitions in a court John Dramani Mahama in the office and at the table, so no. While forwarding in the Akoma Chief Justice, say on you Shemuye, senior man for Casse, the Minimiano, on ye a Kissie Jabeng, in the office, nothing, almost scrap it off that particular office as OSP, no, and to John Dramani Mahama. Or the cases nina petitions nina they come new chief justice no po ba football ni se onye yihwemu yie na se nkofuna omode nsem nina ba no mudi bema na chese nsem amanfo kan no na John Dramani Mahama wudi super pepedofo senya nyema siko ne de me to me ni de me hu ni se eye den Kissie Jabeng ye beyi no efi akonya sodofo when a breaking news abeto jam so beginning na bro Ghanatube from if you like na ma subscribe na ma share na ma hit notification bell so ma say na be ya abini abibia topic content say ya wo when you tempa no watch me temorofo aha and am the breaking news ni na be see Ghanatube so makra mo nyina beda mo nyina sibebre